And we are watching Game 3 of Sparty vs Nova. If you remember from the last game, if you saw that video, Sparty was Malay against Nova as Burmese. Malay won. Now we see reverse civs. So as Burmese, what do you do to win against Malay? You need to open up the map, use your Hussar to raid, open up the fighting, really use map control to your advantage. As Malay, what do you need to do? Spam. That's it. Just spam as Malay. Keep the fighting in a choke point, all in one area. You can spam as much as you'd like, even though the Burmese player has the far better infantry, and the spam wins every day. We do see 9x9. Sparty going for a unique build. Nova, questionable build order here. Looks like he's cutting for a market here. This is not Nova's strongest map, but build order doesn't matter so much on a 3-player map size. So we'll see how many vills are they going to opt. Both are at 17, both going feudal on 17. Nova will hit it first and have space for a market. 600 wood. That's a good amount. He gets first sell. So Sparty went 17 vills. Looks like this is not Sparty's strongest map either. Looks like Nova's opting to train the market a bit. Now what you also need against spam, you'll need a lot of siege. Malay get bombard cannons so they can micro siege down. Burmese have bombard cannons, so you both need bombard cannons. You need to be trading bombard cannons, and then using your bombard cannons to kill the other person's siege. So whoever can micro better, keep the most siege out, has an advantage. These are both very similar civs in that you go infantry siege. Burmese have Hussars, which are very strong, can kill buildings. Malay have cheap elephants, very weak elephants, so not really a good unit to make, especially against Burmese. So we'll need to see Sparty here coming up with something. They just played this matchup, and we saw Malay win. Now Nova, as Burmese last game, turned the tides of the game by cutting a separate path, fighting in 2 areas. Nearly came back with that. We see 3 town centers from Nova. He does have them all queued. I would prefer 2 town centers. Sparty has the Vill lead with 2 town centers. I think 3 is a mistake here. But again, 3-player map, not going to matter too much. Unfortunately, Sparty does not often open up a second path. So the one way Burmese could get a clear advantage fighting in the open, we will likely not see unless Nova opens up the second path, which you don't want to do as Malay. So we will see what Sparty opts for. If you fight in 2 or 3 paths, you can run Hussar down each path, have your infantry clear up any 2-hands that try to come forward, but the melee can push fast, so it's very difficult to hold the choke point and cut at the same time because each tree is 1 click. So to cut a separate path is 30-40 clicks. Nova forgot a lumber upgrade. Honestly, not making a huge difference here. His build order clearly weaker. When you have 1 more town center and still have fewer bills than your opponent. Not just the lumber upgrade, that's the problem. These lumber camps could be deleted, farms added. When you put your houses on 2 sides, you're constricting your growth. You see Sparty, a much more open area. His house is sort of on 1 side. Now he is cut into the side here for his eco, something we've seen Nova do in prior games. The thought being, if you have a wide area for eco and you lose half your base, you still have half your eco up. You see Nova cutting to the side a bit as well. Farms houses, interesting. 7 town centers go up to Sparty's 5. Can Nova catch up with Vils? Yes, he can. Will he? I don't know. At this rate, definitely. Loom already up. He's clearly worried about Hussars on his base. If any other unit is in your base, you're probably already dead. Sparty does have a strong economy behind his forward. 8 barracks. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Nova, not as many farms as you would expect to see from a melee player. You really need at least 60 to keep 2-hand spam. But Nova still needs a castle, still needs siege. So, I mean, there's no real reason to delay adding farms because you can sell food instead of wood. He has the space for so many farms. He is building quickly up here, which could be the reason he doesn't have them. Is he getting all his upgrades? Archery ranges, melee. Maybe. You do need archers to counter infantry from Burmese typically. If your spam's not doing it. Some siege from Sparty. Scorpions, good choice when you're fighting 2-hand spam. No castle yet from Nova. He really needs a castle for his 2 hands to only cost food. Burmese only need a castle if you're raiding Hussar. Even then, you only need it if you're killing a lot of buildings with Hussar. So probably good that Sparty doesn't have one. We do see production buildings come up. Could add a lot more here. And what does Sparty want to do? You start the fight here, cut here, fight both paths. Your infantry can push. So if he can get his infantry in early, he could take the series. These units are not staggered. Sending them in, oh no, that's why you stagger them. Sending them in as a group. That one onager shot was huge. Sparty needs to be killing siege with his bombards. And cannot be fighting in a choke point. This is so bad for him. The siege from Nova is huge. His castle position, very nice. These bombards, he just did not make enough bombards to fight the Malay siege. All these scorps will go down because he doesn't have the bombards to counter bombards. You can counter with onagers, but these onagers come forward. Does not get enough bombards for that to be worth it. As we see Sparty win the bombard war. This castle needs to go down. Don't shoot the barracks, shoot the castle. Bombards first. Nope, he shoots the castle now when there's bombards out, loses them all. So poor micro from Sparty. Really needs to open this up. Open this up. But the Malay run forward. Now Sparty tends to overreact. He should have run forward himself. The Malay are massing. Now Sparty did have time here to cut into the eco. You really need to do that as Burmese. You're never going to win pushing back and forth in a prolonged fight, because now we see Sparty out of resources has to go halberdier. Both players hovering around mass pop. Nova has more siege. As Burmese, you need that siege to clear out the two-hand spam if you're going to be fighting in a choke point. Because although Burmese have the better infantry, halberdiers will not win against the two-hands. We see a two-hand is 16 attack, 3 armor, whereas the halberdier from Sparty, walking too quickly, 13 and 3. So you're fighting 13 and 3 against 16 and 3. Two hands are better and have more health. Too many bombards from Nova at this point. Sparty needs to micro them down. We see he clears quite a few of them, but has fewer units out. He needs units quickly. Does not have enough barracks producing. We see Nova has full production. Sparty does have units queued, but they're so far back. He needs barracks here instead of units coming all the way from the back of his base. Now that Nova has gotten a foothold here, Sparty's lost his opportunity to cut here. No real way for him to come back unless he can cut along here or push back. Scorpions is the way to do that, but you have to have these bombards down. Nova just making more bombards than Sparty, using them more effectively. And Sparty is fighting the wood buildings, the food units. And we do see those arbs mentioned earlier. That's the counter to Burmese infantry is arbalists. As long as you have bombard cannons to kill the onagers, these arbs, Sparty's not going to have a response to. We see him get a big shot. The onager immediately goes down. This one goes down before it can shoot. Looks like Sparty's in a bit of a panic here. Needs production buildings. He's losing ground so quickly here. Lost bombards. Trying to do something about these arbs, not able to. Nova micros them back in time. This is a very dangerous position for Sparty to be in. Now, doesn't have the resources to change his army comp. It looks like he doesn't have Hussar researched. Doesn't have the resources to do that now. So you have to go heavier on siege, micro it effectively. You need to go bombards first, then onagers. At this point, Nova has the momentum. Sparty's using his onagers poorly. Large shot there, but not enough arbs go down. And at this point, Nova, what he's doing is working. So all he has to do is keep doing that. What Sparty's doing, not working. He's adding more barracks. That's good. He's losing units so quickly. He really needs those barracks. If we look at pop, Sparty's managing to stay at full pop, even though he's in a precarious situation. He still has his full eco. Could add economy here, seeing as how he's about to lose his economy here. No siege at this point. So Sparty's given up the siege that he needs to fight Arbalest. You could fight with Hussar. He has the food for Hussar. It would be a bit of an upfront investment, but I think it's worth it. You see the two hands get in. As long as Sparty doesn't overreact, his town centers will kill them. Did a good job of not overreacting this time. But Nova is killing his front eco. Sparty needed to add eco back here before his front economy went down. This is what we talked about in the first two games. Sparty's a very reactive player. If he can take the initiative, it would pay off a lot for him. These Arbalists are going to go down. Nova does have a couple, but they die off. What do you do here, Sparty? The Arbs are gone. You go heavy on champs, micro down these bombard cannons, try to stabilize, build stables, add Hussar for the Arbs, or go siege. He's going siege. Not enough bombards. So if Nova can keep bombards up, that siege will be ineffective. And this is why archers can be so effective. Units that aren't at the front able to output damage, whereas infantry, they spend so much time walking around before they can actually do any damage. Nova has a very good ratio of infantry to ranged units. Sparty chasing with so many. You don't need a dozen units to chase, but it's definitely hard to micro when the fighting is everywhere. Now, a great way to push back is to take units, run into this siege, kill the siege, and you can drag Nova's forward units. But Nova cuts into Sparty's eco. That probably spells the end for Sparty. He's not able, we see he still has, oh, he has Halbs in his town center. He's adding his eco in the back now. Too late. Loses his eco this side. Gains some ground here, but pulls his units back. That is a mistake. If you're fighting here, gaining ground, you don't want to be pulling back because then you're just treading water. Sparty's thought is he doesn't want to lose too many units and not have enough on the field. These food units shred the gold units. Nova is in the back of his base. Already cleared out the side. If he gets in here, it's over. Sparty is holding on. But these bombards, not controlled by Nova. But Sparties are not protected. two-hand gets in. Sparty's not able to control these open fights the way that he can dominate in a fight in one area. Although Sparty is a meta player, infantry siege, a bit baffled fighting Arbalists, I think. And there goes a near upset. But Nova is the top seed, does win that third game. If we look at stats, Nova, more units killed. You would expect to see the reverse of this from the trash unit player. Nova opted to go heavy on ARBs bombard cannons, which paid off. He did have more food eco. Sparty did need more gold for his army. Sparty had the advantage in his build, did not make the most of it. Pretty standard timelines. Difference here, we can see Sparty didn't have the military numbers that Nova had, needed an eco to stabilize, didn't make the most of his better army.